The space station was quiet except for the soft hum of its engines. Most of the residents were asleep, but in one of the long glowing corridors, footsteps echoed. A human man named Jace walked slowly, his eyes scanning the polished walls. He had just arrived on the station, and everything felt too clean, too perfect, like the place was hiding something. The air smelled faintly of metal, and a strange, sweet scent. Jace didn't know what it was, but it made his skin tingle. He had been assigned temporary quarters here, a small cabin on the edge of the residential ring. The problem was, he had no idea who his landlord was, or in this case, his landlady. When he reached his door, it slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the lights were dim and warm, a sharp contrast to the cold hallway outside. The walls were smooth and curved, like the inside of a seashell. He put his bag down, looked around, and noticed movement in the corner. From the shadows stepped a tall, slender figure. Her skin shimmered with faint gold patterns, like liquid sunlight running under her skin. Her ears tapered to fine points, and her eyes glowed faintly green. She wore a fitted white garment with subtle glowing lines, and her silver hair fell like water over her shoulders. This was the alien landlady he had been told about, though no one had warned him about her beauty or the strange intensity of her gaze. She didn't speak at first. She just stared, her lips parting slightly as if she were trying to find the right words. Jace shifted uncomfortably, not sure whether to greet her or wait for her to say something. The air between them felt charged, as if the station itself was holding its breath. Then she stepped closer. Her eyes moved from his face downward, scanning him with quick, sharp glances. Her movements were graceful, almost too precise, like a predator measuring its prey. When her eyes stopped, they widened. She made a sudden sound, half gasp, half laugh, and spoke in a voice that was both musical and sharp. "Mini Sandworm?" she exclaimed, pointing at him with one elegant, long-fingered hand. Her voice echoed off the walls, and Jace felt his face heat instantly. He had no idea what a sandworm was, but judging by her reaction, it wasn't something you wanted to be compared to. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said carefully, keeping his tone calm. But she wasn't listening. She circled him like she was inspecting a rare artifact, muttering in a language he didn't understand. Every so often, she glanced back at his face, then down again, as if she couldn't decide whether to be horrified or fascinated. Jace stood perfectly still, trying to process what was happening. He had heard rumors about alien cultures misinterpreting human anatomy, but this was beyond anything he imagined. The station's light glowed softly around them, outlining her golden patterns and the tense lines of her posture. Finally, she stopped. In front of him again, her expression had changed. The surprise was still there, but now there was a different look, curiosity mixed with caution. "You are dangerous," she said slowly, as if tasting the words. "And not just because of that." Her voice carried something heavier now, a warning perhaps. She stepped back, tilting her head like she was deciding what to do with him. "You will not cause trouble here," she continued, "or the station will know." Jace's instincts told him this conversation wasn't about sandworms at all. There was something else going on, something under the surface. He could feel it in her tone, in the way her eyes flickered to the door, as if checking for unseen watchers. He wanted to ask her more, but she turned suddenly and walked toward the exit. The door slid open for her, bathing the room in a spill of golden hallway light. She paused in the doorway, looking over her shoulder one last time. "Be careful, human," she said softly. "This station is not what it seems." And then she was gone. The door closed, leaving Jace alone with the hum of the engines and the faint echo of her words. He stood there, trying to understand whether the danger she spoke of was about the station or about her. Outside, somewhere deep in the corridors, a sound rumbled through the walls. It was low, distant, and felt alive, like the growl of something too large to see. Jace's skin prickled. He realized then that maybe the mini Sandworm comment wasn't just an insult. Maybe it was a comparison to something real. Something that might be here on this station. Jace didn't sleep that night. The hum of the station's systems was louder than before. Or maybe his mind was sharper, catching sounds he had ignored earlier. Every now and then, a faint vibration passed through the floor, like something massive moving far below. The landlady's warning kept replaying in his head. When the soft light of the artificial morning filled his cabin, Jace sat up, still dressed from the night before. He decided he needed answers. He wasn't going to survive on this station if he didn't understand what was really happening here. The corridor outside was quiet, but not empty. Tall, insectoid workers moved past, their jointed legs clicking. On the smooth floor, a pair of reptilian traders spoke in hushed tones near a corner, glancing at him before quickly looking away. Jace could feel it. He was an outsider here, and everyone knew it. He found the landlady's quarters easily. They were on the inner curve of the ring, where the walls were covered in living vines that pulsed faintly with bioluminescent light. He pressed the chime and waited. When the door slid open, she stood there in a loose, pale robe, her silver hair tied back. Her green eyes narrowed, not in anger but in careful evaluation. "You came back," she said quietly. "I need to know." Jace replied, "What did you mean last night? About the station? About sandworms?" For a moment she said nothing, then stepped aside. "Come in." Inside, her room was nothing like his. It was filled with strange, carved furniture and bowls of shimmering liquid that reflected the room's soft golden light. A large round window revealed the black emptiness of space, broken only by distant stars. She moved gracefully to a low seat and gestured for him to sit opposite her. "You are new here, so I will give you one truth," she said. "But it may not save you." Jace leaned forward, listening. "This station," she began, "was not built by the people who run it now. It was made by the Shareth, ancient builders who lived inside the bones of great beasts. Beasts that swam through the sands of their world, vast and hungry. The Shai-Hulad, as humans call them, were not just animals. They were more." Jace frowned. "And you think I look like one?" She tilted her head, not in form, in presence. "In the way you carry danger inside you, hidden but alive. The others will sense it, whether they know why or not. And some will try to test it." He didn't like the way she said test. "Then tell me how to stay out of trouble," he said. A small smile touched her lips, but it wasn't reassuring. "You cannot. Trouble will find you. It is the way of the sandworm." Before Jace could answer, the floor trembled under them. Not the steady hum of machinery, but a deep shudder, as if something huge had brushed against the station's skin. The landlady's eyes darted to the window, then back to him. "They are closer," she whispered. Jace rose to his feet. "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she moved to a small table and opened a drawer. Inside was a smooth, bone-colored device, shaped like a half-circle with glowing markings. She pressed it into his hands. "Keep this with you. If the station's lights turn red, follow the sound you hear. Do not run from it. Do you understand?" It made no sense, but the urgency in her voice told him to obey. He slipped the device into his pocket. Before he left, she touched his arm, her grip surprisingly firm. "Remember, human," she said, "there are worse things here than being called a sandworm." As the door slid shut behind him, Jace felt the weight of the device in his pocket. Somewhere deep within the station, that same distant rumble returned louder. This time, closer. He had the feeling that whatever was coming, he was no longer just a visitor here. He was a part of it now. The station's artificial day moved slowly, but the sense of tension around Jace grew. Everywhere he went, eyes followed him. Not just curious glances measuring stares, like the residents were trying to decide if he was dangerous or just strange. He decided to explore beyond the residential ring. The corridors twisted into narrower passages, lit with strips of soft blue light. The deeper he went, the fewer people he saw. The air was warmer here, heavy with the scent of oil and something faintly organic. Like damp earth after rain, he found himself at the edge of a massive observation deck. The glass curved overhead, giving a full view of the endless black void. Out there something moved. At first, Jace thought it was a trick of the light, just a shadow across the stars. But then it shifted, and the faint glow of the station's lights caught the outline of something massive. It wasn't a ship. It was alive. A long, slow shape drifted through the darkness, its surface rippling like the hide of some giant beast. He could just make out a ridge running along its length, and every few seconds, a faint pulse of light traveled through it, like a heartbeat. Jace stepped closer to the glass, his breath fogging the surface. The thing was moving toward the station. Back. Away from there. The voice behind him made him turn. A tall reptilian figure in a black uniform stood at the entrance, his scales dark and gleaming under the deck lights. His yellow eyes locked on Jace. "You don't want to be seen watching them." "Them?" Jace asked. The reptilian didn't answer right away. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "If you value your life, human, stay in the upper rings." "Whatever your landlady told you, forget it." Jace frowned. "You know her?" A humorless hiss escaped the alien's throat. "Everyone knows her. But she plays dangerous games, and now you're a piece on her board." Before Jace could ask what that meant, the reptilian turned sharply and left, his tail brushing the floor as he disappeared into the corridor. Jace looked back at the window, but the creature in space was gone. Swallowed by darkness. He left the observation deck with a tight feeling in his chest. The station's halls felt narrower now, the walls closer, the lights dimmer. When he returned to his cabin, the small device the landlady had given him was glowing faintly. He pulled it out, turning it over in his hands. The markings pulsed in a slow rhythm, matching the beat he had seen traveling through the creature's body outside. Suddenly, a soft chime came from the wall panel by his bed. A message blinked in alien script, but somehow his implant translated the words in his mind. "Lower maintenance ring. Dock 12, come alone, no name. No signature." Jace stared at the words, thinking of the landlady's warning, the reptilians' threat, and the massive shape moving in the void. He didn't know which was more dangerous, ignoring the message or following it. The hum of the station seemed louder now, vibrating through the floor. He slipped the device into his jacket and stepped into the corridor, heading for the lower rings. Somewhere below, Dock 12 was waiting. And so was whoever or whatever had called him. The lower maintenance ring was nothing like the polished halls above. The walls here were rough metal, patched in places with mismatched panels. The lights flickered, and the air smelled faintly of rust and something bitter. Like old fuel, Jace kept his pace steady, pretending he knew where he was going. A few workers passed him, short, stocky aliens with dark eyes and hands covered in grease. They didn't speak. They just watched him as he moved deeper into the ring. Dock 12 was at the far end of a narrow corridor. The door was heavy and scarred, as if it had been forced open more than once. Jace paused, listening. Behind it, there was no sound at all, no hum of machinery, no voices, nothing. He placed his hand on the control panel. The door slid open with a slow grinding sound. Inside was a cavernous space, dimly lit by a single row of yellow lights along the ceiling. In the center stood a massive tank filled with a dark, shimmering liquid. It wasn't water, its surface shifted like molten glass, reflecting strange colors that didn't match the lighting in the room. Jace stepped closer, the sound of his boots echoing off the walls. Then the surface of the liquid rippled. Something rose from it. It was small at first, only the size of his arm, but it kept coming. A coiled, glistening shape that moved with deliberate, sinuous grace. When it lifted its head, Jace's breath caught. The creature's face was ringed with delicate frills, its black eyes unblinking. It wasn't terrifying in size, but there was an unsettling intelligence in the way it studied him. "You came." A voice said "Jace." He spun around. The landlady stood in the shadows near the wall, her golden skin patterns glowing faintly. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes never left the creature. "What is that?" Jace asked, pointing at the tank. She walked toward him, her steps slow and measured. "A child," she said, "barely old enough to hunt." Jace stared at the thing. "That's a sandworm?" She tilted her head. "One of them. Not the kind that swim through the deep desert yet, but it will be." Her gaze shifted to him, sharp and assessing. "Do you see now why I called you?" "What I did," he frowned. "No, and I still don't know what this has to do with me." The landlady stopped a few feet from him. "This one has no bond. Its kind cannot survive long in isolation. It must choose a partner, someone who can carry its presence, someone whose spirit matches its nature." Jace shook his head. "You're not saying, 'I am,'" she interrupted. "It has already chosen you." The creature in the tank dipped beneath the liquid, then surfaced again, closer to the edge. Jace took an instinctive step back, but its gaze locked onto his, unblinking. He could feel something faint, like a whisper in the back of his mind. A strange pulse that matched the rhythm of the device in his pocket. The landlady's voice was quiet now. "Once the bond is made, there is no undoing it. You will be part of it. And it will be part of you." The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Jace wanted to walk away, but his legs didn't move. The creature was still staring, and the whisper in his mind was growing louder. Then the floor shuddered. Somewhere deep in the station, alarms began to wail. The yellow lights above them flickered. Red. The landlady's eyes narrowed. "It's too soon," she muttered. Then, to Jace, "If you value your life, do not leave this room." Before he could ask why, she was gone, slipping out the door without a sound. Jace was left alone with the sandworm child and the red warning lights flashing like a heartbeat over their heads. The alarm's wail filled the dock, vibrating through the walls and into Jace's bones. The red lights pulsed in a steady rhythm, matching the strange beat he had felt in his pocket ever since he got the device from the landlady. The creature in the tank didn't flinch. Instead, it began to circle in the shimmering liquid, its movements quicker now, more purposeful. The whisper in Jace's mind grew louder, no longer faint but insistent, pulling at him like a current. He took a step back toward the door, but it sealed shut with a heavy clunk. He was locked in. The liquid in the tank began to glow faintly, the same golden hue as the patterns on the landlady's skin. The creature rose higher, breaking the surface. Droplets slid down its frills, and its black eyes fixed on him. The whisper became words. "Come closer." Jace froze. He hadn't heard it with his ears, it was inside his head. The alarms continued to blare, but now they were joined by another sound, a low, deep rumble that came from beyond the station walls. The same sound he had heard in his cabin before, only now it was stronger, closer, alive. Jace found himself stepping toward the tank without meaning to. His hand lifted, hovering over the surface of the liquid. The creature moved with him, its head rising until it was just beneath his palm. The moment his skin touched the liquid, a shock ran through him. Not pain power. Images flooded his mind. Endless golden dunes under alien suns, shadows of colossal shapes moving beneath the sand, the deafening roar of something older than cities. The creature pressed against his hand, and the connection locked in place. Jace gasped, stumbling back, but the bond didn't break. The pulse in his mind was now part of him, steady and strong. The tank's lights flared brighter, and the doors slammed open. The landlady rushed in, her robe half undone, revealing armor. Underneath, her eyes widened when she saw him. "You bonded it?" "I didn't," Jace started, but she cut him off with a sharp gesture. "You had no choice," she said. "It called to you. And now it will follow you, no matter where you go." The station shook violently, throwing him off balance. The landlady caught his arm and pulled him toward the door. "We have to move. The adult is here." They ran down the corridor, the alarms now joined by the sound of metal groaning under stress. Through a narrow viewport, Jace caught a glimpse of something outside, something massive sliding past, blocking the light of the stars. "That's a full-grown one?" he asked, breathless. "Yes," the landlady said. "And it's not here by accident. It's here for the child." Jace glanced back toward the dock they had left. "Then we should give it." "No," she snapped. "If it gets the child now, the bond will break and you will die." Jace stumbled but kept running. "Why me?" Her eyes met his for just a moment as they reached a junction. "Because human, your kind may be the only ones who can carry a sandworm without being consumed by it." The corridor shook again, harder. This time, as if something enormous had slammed against the station's outer hull. The lights above flickered. Somewhere ahead, a blast door was closing. The landlady tightened her grip on his arm. "If we don't get to the control hub before it breaches, this station is finished." Jace felt the creature's pulse in his mind, steady and sure, almost like it was guiding his steps. And in the distance, beyond the metal walls, he could feel the presence of the giant waiting, circling, searching for him. The control hub was at the very heart of the station. The landlady pulled Jace through a series of narrow service corridors, bypassing the main routes now choked with panicked residents. The sound of the alarms followed them, but so did something else, the low, rolling thunder of the giant outside. Circling closer, they reached a sealed blast door. The landlady slapped her palm against the control panel, and the heavy slab of metal slid open. Inside, the hub was a circular chamber filled with tall consoles and glowing displays. Holographic maps of the station spun above the central platform, showing damage spreading along the outer hull. A sharp crack split the air as the station lurched. One of the displays flashed red. A voice over the comms shouted in an alien tongue. The landlady's face hardened. "It's trying to force an opening," she said. "If it gets inside, nothing will stop it." Jace moved toward the map. "What? About the defenses, weapons, shields?" "They won't work," she said without looking at him. "Its hide is older than the station itself." She paused, then turned to face him. "There is only one thing that can make it leave the bond. You carry." Jace froze. "You're saying it's here for me?" "It's here for the child," she corrected. "But now the child is part of you. That makes you the target." The pulse in Jace's head had grown stronger, beating faster as if the creature inside the tank miles away could feel the danger. The images in his mind returned, golden deserts, endless sand, and the shadow of the giant moving closer. He took a deep breath. "Then tell me what to do." The landlady stepped closer, her voice low but urgent. "You must call it. Not with your voice, with your mind. The way the child speaks to you. Show it strength. Show it that you are not prey." The idea sounded insane, but the bond was already there. Jace closed his eyes and focused on the pulse. At first, it was just a rhythm, but then it deepened, merging with his own heartbeat. He pushed outward, sending not words but a feeling power defiance. And the image of himself standing unafraid. The response was immediate. The air in the hub seemed to vibrate. Through the walls came a sound unlike anything he had heard. A deep, resonant roar that shook the station. But it wasn't a roar of attack. It was an answer. The landlady's eyes widened. "It heard you." Jace opened his eyes. "Now what?" "Now," she said, "you must send it away." He focused again. But this time he thought of the deserts from the visions, the open, endless space where the creature belonged. He sensed the feeling of distance, of release, of a place far from here where it could roam. The pulse in his mind slowed. The roaring faded. On the display above them, the massive shape that had been pressing against the station began to drift back into the void. Slowly it turned, its body rippling as it moved away until it was just a shadow among the stars. The alarms stopped. The room fell silent except for the hum of the station systems returning to normal. Jace opened his eyes to find the landlady watching him, her expression unreadable. Finally she said, "You did what no one else here could." He tried to speak, but the pulse in his mind was still there, softer now, but constant. "It's still with me," he said quietly. She nodded. "It will always be. The child will grow, and one day, it will call to its kind again. But until then, you are its world." Jace glanced at the holographic map, then at her. "And this station? It's safe, for now." She gave a small smile. "But you, human, are no longer just a tenant, you are a keeper." He wasn't sure if that was a warning or a promise. The thought of carrying something so powerful inside him was both unsettling and strangely right. He had come here a stranger, but now he was bound to something older, something vast. As they left the hub, the landlady's golden pattern shimmered faintly in the light. "Next time," she said, "I might explain why your kind are the only ones who can do this." Jace smiled faintly. "Next time, maybe you'll start by not calling me a sandworm." Her laugh was soft, almost human. "We'll see." And together, they walked back into the station's winding halls, the faint heartbeat of the bond following him with every step.